Hello and welcome to the channel. Let's get into the story. We are talking the new appointed ambassador for South Africa to the United States. That is Mcebisi Jonas. You would have heard his name in a controversial period. We'll take a look at the responses to this appointment. Already some are very concerned about his views on America. Will he be the next persona non grata, just like the former U.S. Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, who was unfortunately expelled from the United States? Let's take a look. Will this now mend relations between the U.S. and South Africa, or is this a way for South Africa to show their firm stance on their international policies? Let's take a look at this one further. Please give this video a thumbs up in support of this channel. Now let's take a look at this.
Well, perhaps some good news, folks, here finally on the diplomatic relationship front between the United States and South Africa, as Cyril Ramaphosa has announced his nominee or his next envoy to Washington, D.C., none other than former Deputy Finance Minister Mcebisi Jonas, a reasonable candidate amongst the bench that the ANC had to pick from. He's, as I said, was a former finance minister, and he also is a published author, graduate of UCT and Rhodes. So this might be the right pick to go to Washington, D.C. to repair the fractured relationship after Ibrahim Rasool got Rasooled for his wildly out of character, abusive behavior towards the United States, very undiplomatic, something well beyond the pale what qualifies as diplomatic conduct. You don't insult your host and an entire nation in that fashion in a public forum. If you have such views, you keep them to yourself. But Ibrahim Rasool couldn't help himself and ran his yap. Well, of course, a lot of people welcomed back as a hero the horrible Americans who give us $500 million a year and buy all our crap and just give us duty-free access to the market. They're just so evil and save us from HIV. Terrible Americans. Well, Ibrahim Rasool, you've been Rasooled, buddy, and rightly so. Your behavior was beyond the pale, and we all know that. Genuine people know that. Not the sycophants that show up at the airport to welcome back people who behave in such an atrocious manner. I don't see any such behavior coming from Mcebisi Jonas. He's a proper individual, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully an improved relationship, and it couldn't come any sooner.
Well, there you have it, guys. When it comes to the new ambassador to South Africa, people had many suggestions, and Mcebisi Jonas was not one of them. Definitely was not even one of them. People were expecting that the presidency would choose somebody who is more right-wing, at least, but still aligned to the ANC's policies, which is still wrong because currently the government is in national unity, as they call it, the GNU. So definitely they should have considered members from these parties in the GNU. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Jonas has a chance in the USA? Will he even get a foot in the White House? Now let's take a look at the comments that came out and some of the sentiments from the appointment of Mcebisi Jonas as the envoy to the USA by Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, there were some positive, there were some negatives. Let's first talk about the positive. We saw Uthulima Dontsela coming out and congratulating Jonas. Now, the reason why Uthulima Dontsela was one of the people that congratulated Jonas, well, it's because of his link to the Zondo Commission and the state capture inquiry. You would have known that Jonas was one of the people that testified against the Guptas, saying that he refused around 600 million from the Guptas to be their finance minister. Instead, they went for Des van Rooyen, remember? But there was some minister that came out instead of him. Yep, this is the gentleman, right? So right now we see him coming back as a favorite to Ramaphosa. What are your thoughts on that one? But now on the negative side of some of the sentiments, we see Ukali Kriel of AFRIFORUM, rather. He then comes out swinging being in opposition of the appointment of Jonas, saying in his tweet, "Here, Mr. Jonas Mcebisi, South Africa's new special envoy to the United States of America, insults president," and he tags Donald Trump. Given these remarks, do you think Jonas will be able to mend the shaky relationship between South Africa and the Trump administration?
The racist, homophobe Donald Trump, how we got to a situation where a narcissistic right-winger took charge of the world's greatest economic and military powerhouse is something that we need to ponder over.
That was his tweet. So many people came out and supported Ukali from AFRIFORUM, saying that of course the two reasons that the ANC might have appointed Jonas, it could have been one, they didn't do proper vetting on what is his stance against the United States of America's president, because we know that the former ambassador was expelled for his remarks for the president's approach. And then the other option was that it's either they actually know his stance and they are then sticking it to the United States of America. That's another point that was brought forward. But obviously most people are just concerned that is this actually going to work? But the truth is there anything that South Africa can do to actually mend the relationship between the US and South Africa right now, besides withdrawing the case that they have at the ICJ? I believe that is probably the only thing that can mend this relationship. Besides that, even if we promise them re-earth, just like Ukraine did, that would not appease the USA if it does not favor the country with the blue star. And there were lots of other people who are calling out Ukali, saying that he is further widening the gap between South Africa and the USA, and that whatever he's doing is not pro the citizens of South Africa, and he is clearly against progress for South Africa. What are your thoughts on all those that are tagging the USA and all those that are opposing this appointment of Jonas? Should the South African presidency make a U-turn right now and appoint somebody else, or should they see what the US says and only take action after that? Of course, if they change him now, it will look like they are Popeyes, so they rather wait for the US to reject him. What are your thoughts on this? Obviously, the presidency right now, they wouldn't have been in this position if the ANC does not continue to pretend that they have a majority in the government of South Africa. What are your thoughts on this? Of course, the president has the mandate to appoint ambassadors, but a little bit of consideration of other members would go a long way. Let's take a look at the statement that the presidency put out when appointing Mcebisi. It reads as follows: President Cyril Ramaphosa appoints Mcebisi Jonas as special envoy to the United States of America. The statement was released on the 14th of April 2025. It was on a Monday, and boom, they give out this notice. It reads as follows: I hereby announce the appointment of Mcebisi Jonas as my special envoy to the United States of America, serving as the official representative of the President and the government of the Republic of South Africa. First paragraph. In this capacity, Mr. Jonas is entrusted with the responsibility to advance South Africa's diplomatic, trade, and bilateral priorities. He will lead negotiations, foster strategic partnerships, and engage with U.S. government officials and private sector leaders to promote our nation's interest. Ooh, you see already the responsibilities that are outlined for this ambassador there on the first paragraph and on the second paragraph are clear. Now, will he be able to do this in the current administration? Let's continue reading. An An eminent South African leader, Mr. Jonas serves as one of our presidential investment envoys that I appointed in 2018 to facilitate investment into South Africa. There they are showing his experience. And then the next paragraph, as a former finance minister of South Africa, Mr. Jonas brings extensive governmental experience to his new diplomatic role. Currently, he holds the position of independent non-executive chairman of the MTN Group, a role he will maintain alongside his responsibility as my special envoy. Now, that one will be tricky because we have seen how this has hurt a special government employee in the United States of America by the name of Elon Musk. He has plunged his other businesses down the sinkhole because of his association with politics. So him maintaining this position is quite risky because it could either work in their favor or it could go wang, wang, wang. So we don't know. Let's see how this listed company responds to this appointment. Then the next paragraph goes, this appointment underscores his distinguished career and continued commitment to advancing South Africa's national and economic interests. Okay, then in the last one, for decades, South Africa and the United States of America have maintained a historical and strategic relationship in the interest of our country, our region, and the rest of our continent. I remain committed to rebuilding and maintaining this relationship for more decades on the basis of mutual respect, recognition of each other's sovereignty, and benefit for our respective people. I thank you. And then it says, for media inquiries, Khulumani no Vincent. That's the presidential spokesperson. So, whoa, guys. So what are your thoughts on this appointment? Do you feel like his experience does give him an opportunity to make better deals for South Africa in the United States of America? The only issue is that, let's just be honest, guys. Let's just be honest. Would it be enough for them to give him a seat at the table? Only time will tell. Please leave your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for joining us in this video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Bye.